Hello everyone, in this video I'll be sharing my complete retouching workflow using Retouch4me, Photoshop and Retouch4me. If you're a photographer, retoucher or someone who is just interested in photo editing, then you're at the right place. I'll take you through the various steps I go through to retouch my images for final delivery. This awesome image you see here was shot by an amazing photographer based in Texas. The first thing I do to my images when I import them in Retouch4me is to do my raw processing because I shoot raw. My raw processing isn't that hectic because when shooting, I try as much as possible to get my image as close as possible to the outcome that I want. So over here, I'll just play with a few sliders and we'll move on. So normally with Luma, I create a little S-curve here just to give the image some contrast. And then over here, I usually start with auto. Then I slide it according to the histogram over here to make sure the exposure is well balanced. And then with the highlights, sometimes if there are some highlights on, I slide it all the way here. With a white balance, mostly I set it on the camera, but then sometimes I just adjust it based on what I see on the screen. So in this case, I like what I see over here, so I'll just leave it to that. Now, if we look at the histogram here, everything looks well balanced. So this image is well raw processed, and we'll move it to the next stage, which is exporting it to Photoshop for retouching. With that, I'll right click on the image and then go to edit with, and I'll choose Photoshop. So here I like editing in TIFF. You can select any other format that you want. I prefer my retouching. I prefer my exports in Photoshop in TIFF. So I'll select TIFF. Here also you can choose the bit that you want. Most of the time I'm doing it in 8-bit. The color profile, I leave it on 1. Now, I may have to do another video and explain very well this color profile. So what I have here is the exact profile that I have on my camera. So there is no profile mismatch. Any other thing I leave, and then I just go to edit variant. So this will open it in Photoshop. Right, we have the image in Photoshop now. So once we are in Photoshop, we will take a look at a few things. So you need to develop a roadmap before you start retouching. Otherwise, you will end up spending the whole time doing stuff that you never intended doing, and you spend more time on your image than necessary. So the first thing I want to do here is to do some cleanup. We have the light stand here, the softbox or reflector somewhere here, and then this also the diffuser here. So first thing I'll do is do some cleanup. So I'll use my spot healing brush to do that with content aware. So I'll just come here and then brush on this, and content aware will do the magic. So I'll do the same thing at all the points that I want to work on. So yes, just like that, we've taken care of that. Now this backdrop is quite neat, so we don't have much work to do. I constantly save my work every now and then because I come from a programming background, and then back in the days we didn't have UPS and all that, and in this part of the world the light goes off anytime it wants. So you want to constantly save your work as you move on. Even though I'm using a MacBook now, which has backup power and all that, I'm still used to Command S every now and then to save my progress. So here we have our cleaning done. The next thing is to have cleaning or healing on our subject's skin. So if we zoom in, you realize that there are some blemishes on the skin that we would want to take care of. So here I have my plugin sets from Retouch4me, which I'll be using. Previously, I was doing it by myself using either the clone stamp or the healing brush, but now AI makes it easy. With a plugin from Retouch4me, you're able to do that quickly. So first thing we'll do is we'll just duplicate this, and then we go to filter, Retouch4me, and then heal. It loads up the panel for us so we can play with it till we are okay. First of all, I will select make mask, and then I'll zoom in a bit and see the level of blemish this thing is removing. So here, if we look down here, we have some image types. So this, if we zoom out here, this looks more like a full thing, but then I'll just choose half length portrait, because why not? And it will recalculate for me. Then let's zoom in and see the magic AI has done. So here, if we look at original and now, you see original and now, AI has done quite a good job for us at 100% sensitivity. And I'm happy with what AI has done. So I'll just click on apply. I'm not taking my time to go through the plugins now because I have other videos explaining these into detail, so you can check those videos out. Now we have our image here with our blemish removal done. So the next step is to do frequency separation. I love frequency separation and I incorporate it in my workflow most of the time. So the next thing I'll do here is frequency separation. I have my personal action here, which I intend sharing with you guys sometime soon. So I click on it to play my action for me. And over here, I'll choose 4 for the radius and then click OK. So that creates my process for me here. And then I'll just expand it. And then we go on the color layer. So what my action does is it selects the mixer brush tool and then sets the values here for you. So you don't have to waste time to do that yourself. So I'll save and then we start brushing. All right, we are done with our frequency separation using the mixer brush. So if we zoom into 100%, you realize there are some few blemishes that we would want to take care of. So with that, my second level of blemish removal, I do it on the texture layer. Then I select the clone stamp from here. And my flow is always low, opacity 100%. And I always use a soft brush. It depends on the kind of blemish I'm taking. Sometimes I use a very soft brush. Sometimes I add a bit of hardness to it. So for this, I'll use a very soft one. And we start brushing. So you press on Option, see the prompt changes. You click where you want to sample from, and then you brush over the blemish. So I'll do this quickly, then we can continue. Okay, we're done with our second layer of blemish removal. And what I usually do is after this, I go back to my color layer with my mixer brush selected. Then I go through my second layer of brushing. This one, I do it very quickly just to smoothen out some of the blemishes that were removed. So that's it. Fortunately, we don't have to work on eyes because she's wearing glasses and she's not showing teeth as well. So this makes this process very, very easy and fast. So with that, we have our frequency separation done. Then I would want to take it to another level. So I'm going to merge everything here into a new layer and then go to Filter, Retouch4me, Dodge and Burn. As I said earlier, I have a tutorial, an in-depth tutorial on how to use these plugins from Retouch4me. So you may want to check out those videos so you have a better understanding of how these plugins work. So here I have it like this. Now let's look at original and now, original and now. The blend is not that high, so you may not see the difference. So let's see original and now. Then let's choose this type of image and then let it recalculate for us. Okay, it has recalculated it for us. So let's look at before and now. Before and now. If you look at her neck area here, before and now, the effect is too much. So I'll bring it down to say 120 and then check before, now, before and now. Okay, I think I like the effect. If you want to see the preview, this is the preview. So it shows you the areas that were dodged and burned. So once you are done, also don't forget here I select soft light layer. I'll explain in the next step what this means. So we click on apply. And here you see, because we selected select soft layer, it has given us a soft layer. So what do? We come here to opacity and then we click soft layer, soft light. So that brings it back. So if we zoom in and take a closer look at it, if we go here before, see, look over here in her neck, after, before and after. So with that, we are done with our retouching here. So once again, I'll save and then we'll go to Capture One and then continue with whatever color works or export we want to do over there. I don't do my color works in Photoshop or my color grading, or I call it color works. I do all that in Capture One because I find it easier and better managed to do it in Capture One. So we'll go back to Capture One and then continue over there. So here we have our image. So if we put the two of them side by side, you see on the right is our before and this is our after. So we'll focus on this. So over here, if you want to do any color work or any color grading, we have our color balance and our color editor tool here. We can do anything we want. Let's say we come to advanced and we want to work on the reds. This is just basic. So we can slide here and change whatever color we want there. I don't want to mess up with anything because I don't intend to do any color works here. So I'll just delete the selection. Now here we have cropping over here. Because I post my images on social media, I'm very keen on cropping. So usually with this, I'll extend it in Photoshop before coming here so I can do my 4:5 cropping. So if you come to the crop tool and then you right click, it shows you original for the ratio. So you can choose 4:5, then it shows you something like this. So with this, because I did not extend it in Photoshop, I just want to show you guys how I do my cropping here. I'll just pick something like this and then okay. So this, if you post it on Instagram, it's not going to give you those, it's not going to cut off the image. You're going to have it just like this over there. I have a tutorial on how to export for social media, so you might want to check that out. So once we are done with this, we go to our export and then go through our export recipes. I have various recipes that I use for exporting. So I have one for this where I have my website address showing. I have for black and then I have for white and then other export recipes. I'll do a video on how to use export recipes, so expect that sometime soon. So once that is done, you click on export and then we have our image exported for us. And that's it for my complete retouching workflow using Capture One, Photoshop, and the Retouch4me plugins. I hope you found this video helpful and learned something new. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thank you for watching.